Hey everyone, before we get to this week's show, I want to let you know on October 5th, I am going to be at the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree. Come on out and meet me. And then on October 6th, we are doing an advanced screening for the movie The Sasquatchologist. You are going to have an opportunity to see this movie first before anybody else, and also have a Q&A session with the cinematographers. If you want tickets to this event, go ahead and check out the link in the description below.
Merkel Media.
They're not trying to keep us out. They're trying to keep something in. I do not recommend going in that cave alone to anybody.
Yeah. I thought I saw a crawler, a shadow figure coming out. We're coming around this curve and I see something poke its head out like that.
I don't know. Doing this paranormal stuff for so long, I don't know what's what anymore. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what you're talking to. It could have been anything.
All right, today we have some incredible guests here in studio. We have a full table. The Cryptid Warfare crew, or actually it's the Cryptid Warfare Operations, right? Or should we go with the podcast first? We'll go with the. You can talk now. We're
Oh, we good to go.
Yeah, we're done with it. I'm done with the intro. I told everybody that they had to be quiet while I did that whole spiel. So
what was funny is when you were doing the intro, I was like, "Is he reading, dude? He's like doing."
Dude, it was on point.
He was
Yeah,
on focus.
well, I mean, it's like what, almost 700 episodes. So
Yeah, I want to say if you don't get it now, come on.
I don't. It seems like when I'm doing it in front of people, I hit it better. But when I'm doing it by myself, I'm like, 10th, 15th, 20th time. It got to the point where I was like, Jack, just go find something else to do. I'll just record this on my own until it gets done, and then I'll send it to you. But no, it's been a wild ride for me over here. But for you guys, Cryptid Warfare started out as a podcast first, and then went to the operations.
No, first off, it was actually operations first, and that's like our bread and butter is being out in the field. And
Really?
stuff. And then we decided to do a podcast.
That's awesome, man. So let's go around the table and introduce ourselves. Everybody say their name. Their names. T. But I teased everybody because I said I forget people's names, so I'm gonna need you to introduce yourself so I remember. But seriously, let's do it so I hear your voices along with the name.
My name is T, part of the Cryptid Warfare podcast and operations. Good friends of Andrew, our host and are the creator of Cryptid Warfare. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be meeting you for the first time. It's fun
Awesome,
stuff.
man.
Yeah, I'm Jessica Jones. I started off as a tag along with Cryptid Warfare. I'm actually known as the Cryptid Huntress. You guys might have heard one of my shows or something occasionally, but I'm a Bigfoot and cryptid field researcher. I've been doing this since 2011. And like I said, I'm a tag along and having a good time. We go out and do some pretty awesome boots on the ground field research out there all over pretty much where we've been, Tennessee and Alabama so far.
So before we move to him, tell people where they can find your stuff, like your show, your social, all that. Plug your stuff away. You should do that too if you want to do T.
I don't even have one. That's
All right, don't worry about T. Jessica, you're
What
on.
about you, bro?
Yeah, y'all can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com, and I have a YouTube channel that's the Cryptid Huntress.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Drew.
Right on. You are a part of the team. So
I'm a
say
part
you
of the
tag along.
team.
She's
Yeah.
part of the team.
I know,
guys.
I was kidding.
Hey guys, I'm Drewski. Drew. I run the Cryptid Warfare and Conspiracies podcast. Also do CW operations and survival. So yeah, I'm glad to be here, brother.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. This has been a long time coming. We met each other, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, something
About
like
that, out in Paris. Tennessee, not France. I mean, we were on an operation. We were on an op in Paris hunting
Back in Nam.
the werewolf of Paris, the Paris werewolf.
Bisa Je vous donne.
Yeah, what she said. We were out there.
That dog man had a wee.
Yeah, we geared up. No, but we met each other at a conference, and I think I asked you to come and do your art there because I didn't have any merch at the time. So I was like,
That's right.
I was like, can you come out and just you can have my table and sell your art? So that's where we met each other. You're pretty good at tagging, man, and all that good stuff. You're a good artist. But so Cryptid Warfare Operations is the first thing you started. How did that whole thing come together? I mean, was it like an encounter or was it an interest, a topical interest? I mean, you have a background in police, I believe, right?
Yeah, law enforcement,
And
stuff like that.
Former military?
Stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. And your crew of guys that have that background as well. So it's like legit, like on the ground, like mercenaries for Bigfoot.
Hire.
mercenaries for hire.
Wait, do we get paid?
I wish.
You got, if you got,
that's what I'm trying to do with this operations team. I'm trying to build that up. But no, as far as that, like I said, I have like a law enforcement background and fieldcraft and all that stuff too. So what it started out for me was back in Colorado. I used to go basically backpacking with my dad and stuff and out in the mountains a lot. And he teach me a lot of survival and stuff. And then I really didn't give a hoot about cryptids, but I love monsters for sure. Predator, aliens, all that stuff really got me in that jive. And then reading about Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, but it really didn't hit me until I was in law enforcement. So just basically in a quick nutshell, in Colorado, I was a part of a SWAT team for the state of Colorado. And we used to do a lot of warrants, a lot of tracking, a lot of escaped convicts, high custody, VIP transports, stuff like that. So, we used to also train like a lot of people, like kind of like room clearing, stuff like that, range days, all that stuff. So it was just go. What kind of got me into this Bigfoot stuff like that was when we went on a operations when we had to go get an escaped convict. So as we're tracking this guy in the middle of the Rocky Mountains, we're running a diamond formation team. You got your tracker in the front, you got your medic in the middle, and you got all your operators on the right side holding up weapons and stuff like that. So they dropped us off on one area, another team. Altogether, it's probably about a good like 5 different teams, different alphabet agencies, state of Colorado, Fed, stuff like that. So as we're tracking this guy, he's in the middle of the mountains. We have an idea on where he's at. And as we're walking our way towards him, this is about, I say it's almost hitting like dusk. So as we're going, got our nods on top, we're just walking and we're hearing 2 things pace us in the middle of the mountains. What the freak is that, dude? I'm not saying anything because I don't want to be the cuckoo guy. But I'm hearing it off my left because I'm on my left in the diamond formation like that, just scanning everything on my left. Got my guy on the right. He's like, hey, do me a favor. He's on comms. He's like, hey, let's just stop on 3. Everyone just stop walking. 3, 2, 1, stop. And we stop. And we hear these 2 things on both sides of us. Take 2 extra steps and they stop. And we're like, So we're trying to get a read on it. Nothing. We're not seeing anything, but we're hearing it. So we're like, all right. The guy on the tracking team, good old mountain boy, is like, don't worry about that. Let's just keep moving. We're like, what the freak? Don't worry about that. We need to know what's over
what
there.
is that?
You know, we're like, whatever. So we just keep going. But as we're scanning, we have our weapons up towards the left, towards the right, towards the rear. We're just going. They finally catch the guy. We walk him on the way down. We get up there, hand him over, go back to the precinct, stay, turn our weapons in, do our report. And 3-letter alphabet agency comes up and is like, hey, here's what you guys write. I thought you guys wanted us to write who, what, when, where, why, and how. And they're like, don't worry about that. Here's what you guys should write. All right, whatever. So captain's like, do it. All right, roger that. Read out the report. Didn't think anything of it. So I dove head first into what the freak is out there, right? So I started digging up on a mountain area called Wetmore, San Isabel, Pikes Peak, stuff like that. It just opened up the floodgates for me on cryptids. Bigfoot, Dogman, Skinwalkers, stuff like that. So that's how I got into head heels over it. And then how I got into the conspiracy part of it was when, this is back in 2012. Big old 2012, guys, when we all thought the world was going to end, right?
December 25th. Or was it? No, it was December 25th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah.
I remember my dad said, he thought that ain't nothing, you know, the Aztecs just ran out of tablet is all it was. All right, cool. So anyway, so we had to, this is when I was doing VP protection on the SWAT team. We had to escort a guy who was the head of a certain thing to the Denver International Airport to meet the governor of Colorado. So we go there. I'm not driving. I'm just chilling on the left side. We're just chilling. We're basically just babysitters for hire, right? With weapons is all we are. So we get there.
That's what they thought about their Pennsylvania too.
Yeah, so we get there and we go in the back way. They let us in. I'm like, what the frick we going, you know? And then all of a sudden we hit this tunnel and we just keep going. What is this? Just tunnels everywhere, vehicles moving everywhere.
Under the airport.
Under the airport. Okay.
Oh, do you see Lucifer?
Oh yeah, we saw Lucifer, the big old horse with the red eyes.
Yeah, that's not weird at all.
I'll show you after.
Yeah, you have to show me.
I'll show you after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically in the front of the Denver International Airport was Lucifer, right? So we, past that, go underneath there, just meandering, passing vehicles, stuff like that. And they got like these little totes and stuff driving by. So we end up at this dead end, these double doors open, military police walk out, got the governor, stuff like that. We get out, escort them. They told us, you guys got to stay right here. Okay, we'll just chill out. Roger that. We'll just hang out. They let him in. They just take off to do whatever they need to do as a meeting. So we're standing there for like a good hour and a half, just chilling. So we're just shooting the crap with the MPs, right? Just talking to them. Talking about football, Avalanche, Broncos, stuff like that, weapons, all that whatnot. Doors open again. I kind of peek my head in. I see a railway.
Aliens? No. Okay.
Oh man, yeah, closing the door. Bye, guys.
Illegal. No, I'm just joking. Guys, I can say that my last name is. Don't worry about it. But anyways, yeah. So, So all I see is a railway, right? And then on the other side of that are boxes and stuff. And I'm just nonchalant. I'm like, hey man, what the heck they had that on? And he's like, oh man, they had this around here forever. This is how we transport stuff without the public knowing. I was like, what is this? So the dude comes out from the meeting. He's pissed off. He's like, let's go. So we go, get in the vehicles, drive out, go back to CO Springs, drop him off, turn my gear in. I go home. So I start digging on some stuff. One of my buddies works for the DOD. He sent me a blueprint of 2009 of the railways underneath the United States. So the one that we saw underneath the Denver International Airport goes from there to NORAD, and from NORAD to Pueblo, Colorado, then from that to the Area 51, Nevada, all that stuff. It looks like a spider web, but that was just the blueprints of it. The tunnels they had, and they go, and it only shows half of the United States, and they keep going out towards Washington. So Dolzy Base, stuff like that. I'll send you that picture.
Do you still have it?
I still got it.
Yes, definitely send it to us. You don't have to do it right now. I want you to focus in here, but
anyways, what was real quick to wrap this up? What was a trip was after that in March 19th, 2013. Okay, that person we escorted got murdered.
The governor? Wait,
no.
Who? I thought you were escorting the governor.
No. We weren't escorting the governor. We're escorting a certain person to meet the governor.
Gotcha. Under the ground.
Under the ground.
Crazy.
All right. He came out pissed off, all that. Well, a year or two later, about like a year and a half later, he got murdered after that. And it was a big pursuit and stuff like that. They finally found the guy and they shot him down in Texas. So that's all I'm saying about that. Because I still got buddies who work there and stuff. So that's all I'm saying. But yes, I will send you the blueprints and everything like that. So.
All right, so I have heard about the tunnel systems and the railways and stuff, and I've seen things online, and I'm just like, how do they know? So you're saying the person that gave you the blueprints that you saw was from DOD?
Yes, he don't work there no more, but he does. He did at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, but this is just like a rough draft. He found like here. This don't mean nothing. So
because it was old.
Old, yeah.
Wow. So do you think it's more like sophisticated at this point?
100%, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it was a trip though, because at the same time I was there, I was actually coaching a high school soccer team, right? One of the kids that graduated, I caught up with, he was a part of the drilling team. He's like, I don't know why the freak we're drilling tunnels. Why the hell we need tunnels going through underneath Colorado? This is stupid. But I'm getting paid good.
Ask no questions.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it kind of like brought everything together. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, there's way more to this than I thought.
Wow. So officially, you have been under the Denver Airport.
10-4.
You've seen the tunnels, and it was because you were escorting
a certain person,
a high level security risk type person. Wow. You're not lying to me.
Negative.
Right?
That's exciting. What do you guys think about this stuff? I mean, this is an old story for you?
Yeah, 2000. What was that? 2012.
Yeah.
13. Yeah, I was in high school, so I wasn't really doing cool stuff.
Young guy.
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything cool like that. Yeah, that's wild.
Wow. Man.
Yeah. No, I've been looking into Lucifer lately. Somebody gave me
that picture I sent you?
Yeah. No, somebody gave me that as a blind coordinate remote viewing target.
Yeah.
Actually, Arkeem Raw did. And so I did a show on that at Space Out Radio back then when I was on Space Out Radio. And it was It was pretty interesting. I mean, I was just at the Denver airport. I was told I was at the wrong Denver airport. Apparently, there's two because I was looking all over for like an Illuminati.
now we're talking
Did you
about
see all those
convention
collages
slipping.
and stuff?
Yeah,
Like
I
all
was
the
looking
paintings?
for them.
I have heard
couldn't
there's
find
two.
them.
There's a big one and a
Mhm.
small one. Most people come into the smaller side or something.
Oh yeah, because at the Denver National Airport, you have your big one, and then you got your satellite one right next to it.
Yeah, I was at a big one, but I couldn't find. I was looking for a doorway to the underground tunnels of the Illuminati. But I
It's
couldn't find it.
probably just an office door to just maintenance or something like
It's
that.
probably
Yeah.
a Starbucks or something.
Yeah, you gotta pull the machine.
Give me the Frappuccino with
Yeah,
cheese.
the Starbucks, the Starbucks down there. It's like
Secret
the
handshake.
logo is like, oh, you don't have to the squint one eye to see it. It's like, oh no, it's really a Baphomet. It's right there,
Yeah,
Baphomet.
it's right there.
The logo.
Yeah, give me the Lucifer Frappuccino. I got you.
A couple of those.
So with that introduction to this world, right? So being paced in the woods, Denver International Airport, being underground and stuff, you kind of got into looking into the conspiracy side of things.
Yeah, that. And then in 2014 is when I moved from Colorado here to Tennessee. This is when I put my 2 months in to quit, right, to move here. I had a meeting with one of my LTs and he was pissed because I was a part of a SWAT unit, and then they had a separate unit called like the Go to Hell team. So it's if crap hits the fan, you're paged up, and you and a couple guys, like probably about 15 to 10 guys all over the state of Colorado get up, and you have to escort these certain people to underneath this if crap hits the fan.
Oh, that's
And your families, yes, and your families are
bunkers.
good to go too. But you got to sign like an agreement and stuff like that.
And you were part of that?
Well, I was like a PTM member. It's like potential team member, a PTM guy. So I was kind of like going through like a trial period, and then I put my resignation in to leave, and my lieutenant was pissed. He's like, all that effing training down the tube. So I kind of left on a bad note.
Why'd you leave?
I guess we'll go there. Let's go to testimony time, guys. No.
Yeah.
So basically, in a nutshell, my marriage was falling apart and my relationship with God was down the tube. So my job was my God. And then basically my wife left for a little while. She actually went here to Tennessee to stay with family. Well, she gave me the ultimatum like, hey, I need you just to think about what you want to do. And then when we come back, then you can make your decision. So God definitely got a hold of me on that. And then, when she came back, I was like, let's make this work. Let's do this. I don't care, but I have to leave here in order for us to make this work. That way I can get my relationship with you right, my relationship with God right. And yeah, she's like, all right, well, we got options. We can go to Texas, Arkansas, or Tennessee. I'm like, let's check out Tennessee. So we went to Tennessee. My wife was already plugged into church. And this is how I'll get on the Bigfoot stuff. My wife was already plugged into a church at the time there. And she talked to a couple of people there about our situation. So they're praying for us and stuff like that. So when we got there, a guy, the head of the security team named Cameron, shout out to you, buddy. Love you, man. He was a Bigfoot researcher, hardcore, but he was kind of underground about it. Cause people look at you funny back then in 2014, like what?
Totally get it.
So it's basically, as soon as we got there, I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do, man? Like, I'm all for it. I'll jump in head heels. You want me to like start playing guitar again on a worship team? I don't care. Just plug me in somewhere. So as soon as we walked in, my wife waved, a couple people waved. We got connected with the people, and he comes up out of nowhere. He's like, hey, you're Andrew, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, cool. Wife told me a little bit about your background. I want you on the security team. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I was on the security team till now. So, okay, God, I guess you want me to use the stuff I've learned to help these people out. So that's what I've been doing now.
The most secure church in the country.
Well, it's great, man, because we got a lot of guys. We got a couple guys there who are Rangers, Navy SEALs, ex-Navy SEALs, stuff like
Really?
that. We had a dude who was the head of it who is in the Secret Service. So he's been protecting all those guys. He's actually downtown in Nashville.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, they have a headquarters down there. I didn't know that, but they do. But yeah, we got guys from all over Rutherford County, fire department. It's just, we have about 150 guys mixed on the team.
This is a huge church, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Like, I got like 100 people in my church total.
Well, what was amazing though is like when her and I got there wasn't that many people. There's only 5 guys on the security team, right? So then after that, he quit. My pastor asked me to take over. I took over from 2016 all the way to 2020 as soon as Corona hit. Then I stepped down. And then the guys who I trained up, I had them took over, and then it's been running like that ever since. Then I came back, and my pastor was like, "What do you want to do, man?" I'm like, "You know what, dude? I just want to wash feet, dude. So I'll still do security, but I'm not gonna be the head of it anymore. It was just too much."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I do now.
Yeah, it's almost like another job.
Yeah, it was, man. I was there freaking Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, plus my job, my regular job I got, plus doing cryptid hunting. It was just go.
How'd your wife feel about
go.
that? Was it because you were serving the church? It was all right.
No, that took a damage too. Because I'm the
Not at
type
all.
of guy. If I do it, I go in 110%.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
So when we moved here, I was like, cool, there's jobs open in Metro, Nashville Police Department, Rutherford County. She's like, do you really want to go back to the job that almost split up our marriage? I was like, okay, you're right. So she's like, hey, why don't you just try out some other things, maybe go back to your old trade, which is welding. I'm like, oh, okay. So I applied for Nissan, and that's where I met T, and yeah, here we are.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
worked out, man. It's worked out.
It worked out great.
Yeah.
Praise God. Yeah.
It's driving me crazy. I'm just gonna think, whoop,
Oh, sorry. There we go.
right there. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So, because sometimes your voice is fading, and I know why.
Oh.
So now we're good. So this is a direction that I wasn't expecting. How all this kind of came together. Going back to Denver, is there in your research with the airport? Because I remember this is crazy too, because I remember you telling me about, you had a story about Denver International Airport, and I totally forgot until you brought it up. But that spawned you into that. Have you ever, outside of what you shared, uncovered things or found things that through your training might have been like a flag? You're like, I think I know what that is, kind of thing.
Well, as far as the conspiracy part of it, like, okay, biblically wise, right? Let's say in Matthew 24, Luke 21, all that stuff, Revelations and all that. We know it's going to get worse before it gets worse, before it gets better, right? We know it's going to be anarchy, stuff like that, all that stuff. So when we were training on this team, we had to learn how to breach certain areas. And, a certain person said, we just have to be prepared for the enemy. I'm like, okay, well, what's the definition of enemy? Could be religion factors. Factions could be, people who stand up against what the order is. And I was like, oh, I'm not about that life. I'm good. Count me out.
That's why.
So,
That's why.
yeah. And then after that, moved here, met Cameron, got on the security team. And then he's like, hey, man, this was in 2015, about a year after we moved here. He's like, hey, I'm going on a sponsored Bigfoot in Kentucky over at the Mammoth Cave National Park. You want to go?
Going on a what?
On a sponsored Bigfoot hunt.
Okay.
To the Mammoth Cave National Park. You want to go? I was like, let me think about it. And he's like, dude, for real, like, I want you to come because I need guys who know what they're doing. Like, all we're doing is research. I need people who know weapons who don't want to die. I'm like, all right, well, we'll go. So I got a team of guys and we went, and that's actually where I met Zook and a couple of the guys. And yeah, so when we went there, quick story on that. We were there for like 2 days. So in this area where we had to go, we literally had to take a ferry. You actually drive your vehicle up on this ferry, takes you across to this mountain island. And then they close from 7 p.m. and they open it up at 7 a.m. So if anything happens, you're on your own. So you better have a satellite phone, something like that. So we went with a team of 15 guys. One of them was a pilot, and he was a good dude, but he was a skeptic. Now he's not a skeptic anymore because we had some incidents happen. So here's what happened to me. We're on there night 2. The next morning we were going to leave, but night 2, we were in those mountains looking around, and it was about 2:00 in the morning. We rode up on this SUV, was parked. All the doors were open. The thing that I told Cam, I was like, hey, stop, was because I saw a baby carriage on the floor and everything was dumped out. So, hey, we got to stop. So naturally, as a protector, you want to get out, investigate, and see what's going on. So we all got out, looked around. The way the vehicle was parked, it was pointed at this trail that led to the river. And then around it was just bush line, and it just went up a mountain, right? So I go to the driver's side, make sure there's no people in there. God forbid there's a baby in there. Nothing, thank God. Looked around. My back is towards the wood line as I'm on the driver's side. My buddy Ben is on the opposite side looking. My buddy Cameron's on the sat phone calling rangers, whoever needs to talk to, tell them what's going on in this area, right? Pinpointing on what's going on. That way they can come investigate the next day. So everyone's looking around. So next thing I know, I hear a big growl but it's not your certain type of growl. It's like a deep guttural growl. And I didn't know anything about infrasound at the time, Tony. I knew nothing about it. So it physically felt like my back was up against a subwoofer at a concert at Metallica, and they just hit that guitar string and my whole insides just shook. And I almost passed out, and I had my hand on the top of the vehicle, and then everything just kicked in, turned around, pulled my pistol out, backed up. Ben pulled his pistol out and said, "What the freak was that? Did you hear that?" And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not crazy. I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whatever happened with the people in the car, do you know?
We don't know.
Wow.
We don't know.
Wow. So, middle of the night, SUV, all doors open, nobody inside.
Nobody.
Were the lights on in the SUV?
No.
So, do you think the battery was dead?
I don't know. There were no keys in it. Nothing. We tried to turn it on. Nothing. The battery had to be dead.
Was it newer?
Yeah, it was newer.
Do you think it was stolen?
Could be. Who knows?
Wow.
But as far as that, we didn't get no more intel on it. No, nothing. So.
And this was in Kentucky?
Kentucky, yeah. Mammoth Cave National Park.
Wow. That's interesting. I wonder if there's any missing people cases up there.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
100%, dude.
There's a cluster.
Rewind. Let me finish my thought. I know there's missing people cases.
Okay, just a second. Remember the 411 dog? Come on.
Have you ever heard? Has Bigfoot ever abducted people? No, but I mean, like that fits that description. You know, Have you looked into that at all? As far as the description of what you found versus what maybe would be a missing person case up there?
No, as far as that, Cameron said he was going to look into that, but we just left it at that.
Wow.
And then I went about my business and never heard anything of it.
That sounds like Sasquatch and Missing Man Part 2.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Wow. All right. So that was the introductory to the ops.
Yeah.
Wow.
So after that, I'll wrap this up and then you can go around. Sorry, guys. So after that, he kind of slowed down at going. So I'm like biting at the bit. So I start going by myself, right? So, which is a no. So one of the guys I started working with, his name's Brian Cochran. Love you, Po Dog. Love you, man. Good dude. Him and I started working together when I moved here. And ex-bounty hunter, stuff like that. Good dude, ripped up. Him and I have been best friends since I moved here. So it was just him and I going. So he's a tracker. He knows his stuff. So same age as me. And then after that, we just started, every year I just started to slowly vet people and just started adding on people. And what was cool was at the place I work at now, which is Nissan, my job description, I'm basically everywhere around the plant. I'm not stuck on the line, so I'm everywhere. So I get to meet a lot of people and talk to them. And as you do that over the years, you start to see what people's beliefs are, what they do, stuff like that. So I started to find a good like-minded people who shoot, communicate, go out in the woods, survival, stuff like that. And then it came up to the topic, what do you guys feel about cryptids?
Yeah. Because you got to kind of like
That's
fish
how you
for
weed it
it.
out, right?
You got to fish for it. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
hey, man, what do you think about this? It's just conversational stuff.
Yeah. So, and then with some guys, it was like, oh, dude, let me tell you, man, I've had this experience. I'm like, sweet, let's go.
Like sleep
You're in.
paralysis.
Like sleep paralysis.
There's a
yeah.
lot of people we met that had sleep paralysis.
Yeah, I've had that. It sucks. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we got to talk about that
Yeah.
while we're here today.
Anyways, yeah, but we'll get to that later. But
For sure.
yeah, so
Remind
that's
me.
basically actually how I got all my guys throughout
Wow.
the years. Every year I'd always get somebody.
Do you have any like background in military or anything like that?
No military, just outdoors. Grew up shooting
Survivalist.
a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
just one of those. Just like, man, I like being outdoors. Like, can you start a fire by hand without a lighter?
Yeah.
Just Boy Scout stuff.
Are you originally from Tennessee?
I am.
Uh,
Nashville area.
Okay. So I can't talk about this on the podcast yet because I'm still looking into it because I'm not sure if it's true or not. But remind me after. I'll tell you guys. Oh, the audience hates when I do that. But like I will talk about it on the show. I just found out about it today. But
Right on my Palm Pilot.
there you go.
Talk to me after.
But there's a legend of a particular person in Tennessee that I think might fit the description of Nephilim hybrid, and he didn't live that long ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but I just heard about it today, so I wanted to look into it more before I actually talk about it on the show. But I bring that up because you got the red beard and
It might be a cousin.
He don't got
Might
6
be a
fingers
cousin.
though. He got
No.
6 toes. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, you never seen my feet.
double row teeth. So you're putting a team together, and I mean, you got roughly. Do you know how many operations you guys have gone on?
Oh God, probably about 10 plus.
I would say double digits.
Yeah.
10,
Really?
10 to 15.
Okay. So I don't know if it's worth going through all of them, but I definitely want to talk about maybe some of the operations that have been most impactful for the team. I know Jessica was talking to me
I'll
about
go over that one.
something to do with the Skinwalker cave or something. I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
want that.
Well, that's one of the things
one
too that
in
we.
the cave that said the devil
Yeah.
is here.
Yeah.
You remember
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
that?
Yeah, and that's one of the things too that we actually specialize in too. It's not just shooting and communicating as well, but we also like caving. We do a lot of that too.
I do not like caving.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't
I do
because
not like caving.
my wife just bought me 2 gas detectors because I've been going into like old mines and caves and stuff. And she and I came home the last time and I told and I tried. I don't try hiding things from her, but I do try to omit certain things.
Yeah.
And I slipped up and I brought up how we had a real strong smell of gas, and so we had to kind of get out of the one spot. And next thing I know, like a week later, I have these 2 detectors sitting on the table, and she's like, I can't stop you from doing these things apparently, so I'm gonna at least buy these things to help you survive. Because she tells me all the time, don't go in caves. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen, but sure, dear. You know.
yes.
So I mean, does it make sense to go into the Skinwalker one? Or you guys want to hit on something else first? Because I want to kind of get into this.
We'll talk about when him and I first went on this single op, which talking to certain guys who actually do this for a living,
Do what for a living?
hunt these things.
For a living?
Yeah, there's a few
Yeah.
out there that you've talked to.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
so being in the tactical world, I guess, or whatever, shoot, move, communicate, and all that. Military guys, ex law enforcement, like meeting a lot of these dudes. She's introduced me to a couple.
I need
guys.
you to, before you go any further, I need you to clarify. Are these people who are like hired by like government agencies type of thing to go hunt these things? Or are these like
little both?
I know someone that's
Yeah.
hired. That's a contractor.
a contractor for
Yeah.
like an agency almost?
Yes.
Like
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe,
that's all I'm gonna say.
let's talk about the mythical person as a person that doesn't exist, but I want to hear the
Right.
stories that don't really never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear
I
about
can
those.
tell you those.
We'll just leave it at that.
This
But
is gonna be a
anyways.
we'll just
Yeah.
keep doing
Okay.
these a lot.
All right,
Just keep doing these quotations.
let's rein it in because I can't keep over talking everybody here because we got to think about the audience. So one at a time, okay? But we will circle back to that. I want to hear as much as you guys can tell me. Continue.
Okay, so anyways, I got at the time I had like a team of 4 guys at the time, and one of the guys that was okay. So each guy on my team is specific at something. Okay, T does a lot of communications, Overwatch, sniping stuff like that. You know, and then this other guy does a lot of intel, all that, and then so on and so forth. You got guys who are breaching or whatever, you know, shooting rifle guys, stuff like that. So armor, whatever. But one of my buddies, he was on this forum that they basically he just looked through the forum at people who are having problems in certain towns, right? And on animals getting killed or people missing, stuff like that. So we were trying to figure out, okay, where the heck are we gonna go next? So he's like, hey, check out this. Let's go over here and check out this spot, which is in, was it Mountain City?
Mountain City, Tennessee.
Mountain City, Tennessee. It's like right at the eastern tip of Tennessee, northeastern tip of Tennessee. So cool. Let's go check it out. So I try to get all the guys wrangled up. Couldn't happen. All we brought was 3 guys, me, Taylor, my buddy Paul. So we went there, went to check out downtown, talked to a couple people. And then this lady talked about going up on these logging roads, but she said, be careful because there's a lot of homeless, a lot of people that go missing out there, animals, stuff like that. That sounds perfect. Let's go check this out. So then this was Taylor's T's first time going.
Yeah, it's one of those where I had a thought probably like, man, I believe. Like, it's cool. I believe. But like, I've never seen anything. A lot of people have never seen anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get there.
so excited.
All right. So anyway, so we drive up. How long we were driving, dude?
I don't know, dude. I think it took like almost 6 hours to drive. And then we couldn't find a place to stay. Like,
everything was closed off.
Everything was closed. We tried to find like a camping spot that we were gonna like hike into somewhere, but everywhere was closed and like no vacancy. No, 2-3 night minimum. We only staying 1 day.
Yeah. So we found like this logging room that was open, and we're like,
That's like a lot of the logging
like,
roads were closed.
yeah, we're closed. And we're like, well, shoot, if they freaking shut this while we're here, we'll just blow the freaking locks off and we'll just keep moving, right? So quotations. So
Andrew's not his real name.
so we found it. We drove in a good couple miles in until it got too mushy, too muddy. We couldn't go any farther with the truck. So we found a spot, backed in, and I have this thing I always do whenever we set up camp. I always set up a tripwire, about 50-foot radius all the way around. That way, if something trips it, I know what's coming. At least it gives us a heads up. So did that. The guy set up. We were just cooking dinner, hanging out. It was dark. It was about like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it got dark quick on the mountain, especially when the sun sets behind you behind the mountain. It gets dark quick.
Yeah. So we did that, and then about 12 o'clock around there.
Yeah, it's about midnight. 1 o'clock.
Midnight, yeah.
Because we all stayed up probably as late as we realistically could. It was a long day.
Yeah. So we did that, and then so Paul goes to bed. So me and Taylor just stay up, hanging out. Next thing we know, we hear things coming down the mountain, breaking branches, rocks rolling.
Because it's quiet, like dude. It's real quiet,
man. No bugs, no nothing. Everybody knows if there's a predator around.
Dude, everything is silent.
Everything's quiet. So I'm like, "Ooh, game time!" And Taylor's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "You'll see." So we're just kind of chilling. Next thing we know, triple arm goes off. Rifles up, frontal assault, go. Paul's like, "What's going on? Just hang out, buddy. Hang out. You'll be all right." He has his pistol out.
Yeah,
like, what's going on?
In his underwear, dude. He was.
Anyways, yeah, I love Paul, but he was going through some stuff, so I'll give him that. He's good to go. So we go over there, check it out. I'm like, what the freak? Nothing. So basically, I set up the alarm again. So as we're going, we're hearing something pacing us. Not just one, but two, and you got another one coming down. So we're hearing these things on left and right of us. And me and Taylor are back to back, rifles up, just listening. Throw my night vision on, looking, can't see nothing. Throw my night vision up. As we're focusing over here, north alarm goes off. We turn around, south alarm goes off.
Like, oh God.
So it's getting too raunchy, and Taylor's like, screw it, pop off some rounds. Boom, 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 boom. These things just take off. So I go set up the alarms real quick, and I'm like, what the I wish we had more guys. So after that, we just kind of calm down. We just let the fire burn out. Paul's asleep. Taylor goes in his tent. I'm in my tent, prone position, nods on. I don't care. I'm up. Just scoping, watching. And then next thing I know, I kind of doze off, and I hear like this zombie sound. This guy's throwing up.
Dude. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Just listen. We all ate the same thing.
Exactly.
But here's what happened though. He was throwing up. I get out. I'm like, what the freak, you good? And he's all, I'm good. Next thing you know, the alarm goes off behind him. Turn, grab him, rifles up as he's throwing up still. And pop off some more shots again. Gone. We go set the alarm, and I'm like, dude, you okay? He's like, dude, I don't feel good. I feel weird, man.
Yeah, dude, I remember like I was super lightheaded, and like everything was like not blurry, but like spinning. Yeah. Like I just like, dude, I'm just out of it. Then he's like, pull your gun out, dude. I'm just what's going
Stop
on?
pointing at me. Stop pointing at me.
And so like I'm like, dude, I'm not much help right now, dude. I'm just
man.
I remember specifically all the hair on my body was standing up. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I'm a hairy dude.
Man, you got zapped.
Yeah. So I was just like,
yeah, he's out of it.
Yeah.
Infrasound.
So, yeah.
So that's what go back on what you talked about earlier. The infrasound, dude, it just hits you.
Yeah, it just hits him. So I was thinking like, okay, like doing some research on these things. Okay, as a predator, right? You're going to go after your biggest threat or your weakest one. It depends on how you're feeling salty or not, right? So if you throw out infrasound, you can grab the biggest guy and you work your way down, or you grab the weakest link and work your way down. It just depends on how you're feeling. So that was my opinion. I'm right, but that's just what I was thinking. They're going to go after him because he was the biggest threat, basically, and work their way down. But after that, it calmed down. I'm still up. Everybody fell asleep. I finally, fall asleep. T wakes up like, dude, let's just go tracking. Let's go see what the heck we can find, because we know there was a couple of them out here.
Yeah. It was because it was like it was dark and we both had lights on our rifles and stuff, and those go out. You know, near the woods where it's super dense woods, and so because it's a national forest out there.
Yeah,
and it's like the lights would go, I don't know, 30 feet.
And the dark just eat it up.
It'd just be like black, just pitch black, or just eat. And like you would always feel like you'd hear like a moving through the
bipedal.
You'd follow it,
not quadruped, but bipedal running.
Yeah, you would follow it and be like, dude, what the heck? And it'd be like right outside the light range.
Yep.
And then you hear behind you. It's almost like they were trying to get me and him
They're
both
flanking.
Like to not pay attention, or both of us looking the same way. And,
I think they're just testing out the boundaries, checking to see like what we're about, checking our security systems, stuff like that. So, but then after that, we woke up in the morning. I'm like, dude, let's go track. Let's go look at what we can find.
Yeah.
And I was like, Paul, you're making breakfast since you weren't up the time.
Yeah, Paul never came out of his tent the whole time.
He was out. He was
The
sleeping.
whole time.
He was sleeping.
Popping
Even
off
after those
rounds?
shots, he was sleeping.
Popping off rounds, he never came out.
He's a good
Never
old
came
boy.
out. He is a good old boy.
Yeah,
I love that boy to death. He's hardcore, but
he's like, that's what we
like-
call sound machines when I was growing up.
I was like, dude, yeah. Put it this way, he lives in a holler, so just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was out. He's like, dude, I didn't hear you guys, man. I was like, dude, you didn't hear us screaming? He's like, no.
Yeah, we popped off
Tell me
like
he's still on the
5, 10
team.
shots. Yeah.
Oh, he's still on the team.
Perfect.
Yeah, he's still on the team. I love that guy to death.
His job is to cook, not security.
Breakfast was bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, he's bomb at cooking, man. I give you that.
my gosh.
But what was funny though, before we did that though, before everything popped off, I was like, hey, get your keys and go put them in the gas door. He's all, why? Because if you get drug off,
Dude, there's no keys.
there's no keys.
Mm.
So put them somewhere where we all know where they're at.
Yeah, sorry, bud.
We'll come back later.
We're going to go get help. We are the help.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So after that, we went tracking, and then we went up this ridge, nothing but mountains, Tony, as far as we can see.
Dude, it's just miles.
Just miles. Miles of mountains, dude. Going up Appalachian.
Well,
So-
go ahead.
That was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went up there believing, but skeptical. Left 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Something was there. 100%.
Wow. I mean, I'm looking at Mountain City on the map here, and to see where it is. It's not far from Bristol, and but it's further out than Bristol, which is interesting. You're right on the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. In fact, part of Mountain City actually crosses over into North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, you're talking about rural. This is rural.
Mm-hmm.
It's out there. So when you went scouting, did you guys find any tracks or anything that was breaking?
Well,
or
the
anything?
thing was like we found broken twigs, stuff like that, trees, all that. It was like during like fall time. It was during like Thanksgiving around that area, so
Yeah.
nothing but
Leaves.
leaves everywhere.
Yeah.
So couldn't see much.
Like when you heard them coming in, was it like, did it look like anywhere that like something large came through, or was it like
There was already, I'm assuming like deer trails where
Yeah.
it was kind of wide. There's an obvious like deer path. If you ever been out hunting ever and you know you follow your deer path, they always take the same.
Yeah, they actually followed the
Trail.
part of least resistance. So
Yes, they always take the same every time because I have deer trails on my property, and there's you can walk them, and so they're pretty wide enough to where you can walk through them, and some of them were really wide, where you can tell where they've been through, and it's hard to tell, if it's a common path if something new has been there versus a day before we got there. So
that was that. And then we'll go to Jessica where we went on that skinwalker
the
hunt.
devil is
Yeah,
here.
that
pull
was
your
fun.
your palm pad or whatever it was that you said, and write down on it. I have to show you some footage that I have as well. That
Take
kind
your
of
hand notes.
Oh
interesting
yeah,
stuff.
you also have a picture of that one of the footprint.
I got those.
Yeah, I see. I have it too.
You're talking about from the Skinwalker cave one?
The
Yeah.
cave,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
multiple ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird case. That was really odd.
Were you the one that uncovered the case initially, or
No, I think, Farah,
She
who
asked for-
owned the property.
She asked for help.
Yeah, she had asked for help, and I was talking to, I don't know if I think I did know, I knew Farah back then.
Yeah,
but
time out? What's this print for?
That where we went.
That's
that
where
was
we
at the
went
from this?
Skinwalker cave.
Yeah.
Make sure
Well,
you send that to Jack so we can put on the video.
okay, so that footprint is part of why we were sent out
Text.
there, because Farah and her husband who lived on this property, it was like 500 acres of kind of farmland and mountains on some property up in Whitleyville,
Yeah.
Tennessee.
I'm glad you remember because I don't remember where we were.
Yeah,
Where
right.
were we at? Yeah.
Well, she and I had been in contact, and she and Drew had been in contact, I guess. And she said that her chickens had been going missing, and she had a chicken coop. They had just moved in this cabin. They bought this cabin sight unseen, I don't know if they knew there was a cave 30 feet from their back door,
Yeah.
but it was creepy.
It was awesome.
Creepy.
Yeah, that's such a
big
weird place to
cave.
live, but like, man, it's super
It was
cool.
beautiful, man.
It's
I loved
It was beautiful. But there was a cave, a huge
Yeah.
cave opening right
About a
behind
good
their back door.
30 feet away from their house, like literally right there.
So we went, and I don't think she knew the Skinwalker part of that cave yet.
Mhm.
She didn't know the lore behind it when they bought this house. Like I said, it was sight unseen. They just knew they were living, going to live in a nice cabin right at the bottom of a little mountain base right there. So when she got there, she went immediately up to that cave entrance and said that it was so creepy. At some point, she started leaving a voice recorder out there during the day and at night. And I think she was picking up voices out of that cave. She eventually went and did some research on this place and found out that a Native American shaman, had banished and sealed inside that cave a bunch of skinwalkers. That was Choctaw land. So she had some prize chickens, okay, like her babies, these beautiful chickens that she'd put in a coop right outside the entrance of that cave, which was right at her back door.
Yeah.
And the chickens started disappearing. Now they weren't, weaseling their way out of this pen. It had a latch on it. Something was coming and opening up the pen, taking the chicken like one at a time, taking the chickens one at a time. There were at least two, probably more. And the only thing that would be left of these chickens were feathers. And at some point, the last chicken they took, what was her breaking point, there was a long stick that had been poked into the backside of the chicken coop. So something with hands, had taken the stick and poked it in there and flushed the chickens to the front where the door was. And there was a big pile of feathers right there, and then feathers going into that cave entrance, but there was no sign of a chicken. Now, if that were a predator, I think that would have left some skin, some blood, some guts, if it had eaten it
Like
right there.
Bobcat or something, no
Mhm.
hands.
Yeah, it would have been less clean.
Yeah. Well, there was that footprint by the chicken coop.
Did anybody get a measurement of it? Because I remember, dude, I was like, I wear a size 11 and a half shoe, and it was
about a good 14 inches, something like that.
it was
15.
That's the picture you just showed me.
Yeah.
it was big.
Wow.
Yeah, not only that too, she actually took a picture of like that shadow dogman figure. I've been trying to get that picture from her because she
Was it
shows
from her
us.
cameras?
And what was her name again?
Farrah.
Fair.
So Farrah had a picture that she took of a shadow dogman thing. Did she see it when she took the picture, or was it something that she reviewed the picture afterwards? And saw it?
No, she saw it because when she walked out to go check on her chicken, she heard a growl and looked to her right, and she freaked out. And then she took her camera and took a picture, and you seen it duck, and then it came up full fledged, and you just see the whole silhouette of it, straight up canine ears, everything. And it was like, what?
I'm impressed with her.
Yeah, she had
Because
cameras all over her house.
The fact that she thought to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in the
First
moment.
instinct, run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going back inside now.
Yeah.
Well, she
Yeah.
had cameras all outside on the corners of her home.
Yeah.
And whenever she would have a chicken that would go missing, the cameras would be moved.
Really?
yeah.
So
I
something
remember
was
Like
moved
moved
with
it as in like
cameras.
picked up and moved or just
No.
turned?
Moved
Turned
them.
it,
Turned
like-
them.
Really?
Yeah, and then they do what they do.
Changed the angle of it.
So at what point did she start feeling like this was something cryptid or haunting versus a neighborhood person taking her chickens?
Well,
She had two neighbors.
She had
Yeah.
two neighbors, and it was all of it. She knew it was paranormal. She figured it was cryptid too.
Yeah.
I think the neighbors were like elderly.
Yeah, but also too across the street, the neighbor moved in there, was it like 3 weeks, and he left because he saw something huge running across the field. He's like, I'm out of here.
Right behind him
Really?
was like a 25-acre flat farmland field. Because that's
Yeah.
where I was looking at when I
Where-
was on the Overwatch position.
Where in Tennessee is this?
Middle North
Middle North. So out near the back 40 of Fort Campbell?
could
Like
be.
Clarksville area?
It's Whitleyville. Look it up on a map. I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
You haven't been out there in like, was it 2 years?
It's at the very tip,
Man, it's been 2
very
years ago.
north tip of Tennessee. Yeah, it was. She had so much activity there. A lot
It
of
was a
stuff that
mixture
was
of
picking up on.
everything,
She
yeah.
had orb activity too. And when we got there, I actually took my ghost hunting equipment because a lot of times when we're out in the field, we'd take our ghost hunting equipment. We use all sorts of different types of equipment, but I had my REM pods, my voice recorders, my EVP stuff, mel meters, K2 meters, and all that stuff. And so we started using that, and it turns out we were getting a whole bunch when we got there. We set up the REM pod, we set up the SLS camera towards that cave, and we were getting paranormal activity out there. And it wasn't just cryptid stuff going on. We were picking up figures in the SLS camera.
Mhm.
And it was not just regular figures. It was like one giant figure and two little tiny figures.
Yes, yeah, and it was up in the ceiling. What is
They
it like?
came out of a
Crawling?
hole. They came out of a hole in the cave on the side of the cave. They crawled down. The two little ones one of them started dancing around the antenna on my REM pod.
Yeah.
We have it all on video.
Do you think that was like some kind of interdimensional skinwalker kind of thing?
Well, there's the thing. I started questioning, can Sasquatch be ghosts?
Finally, we're getting there.
Wow.
Sasquatch or giant? I mean, this was a giant. This was a giant.
huge.
It was giant.
Because the ceiling of the cave was like 15 feet tall.
But it looks like it also had horns too. Remember that?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Well, they said that it was a
So-
skinwalker cave.
Okay, all right. So the cave ceiling's 15 feet.
Yeah.
How tall did the ceiling was it? Would you say? How tall do you think this thing
Well,
is?
basically, okay, so the entrance to the ceiling was 15 feet. And as soon as you go in, it dips like the floor goes down and then it opens up even higher.
Hmm.
Almost like,
So we
almost
were-
like a cathedral ceiling.
We were set up at the entrance.
Yeah.
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 That thing was almost to this, maybe 10, 12,
Yeah.
maybe 15.
It was
the whole thing.
crawling too,
And
by the way.
The fact that you say it has horns is interesting because in Pennsylvania, there's an old newspaper article from, I think it was north central Pennsylvania. They uncovered giant bones. It was like a burial site. I think it was like 40-ish skeletons. And there was a picture of one of the skeletons and it had horns.
Mhm.
I just covered that. Oh my gosh. I just covered that in Pennsylvania, the horned humans.
Hmm.
I just did a show on that
Yeah,
last
you
week.
did.
I did.
So maybe the horned humans weren't just Pennsylvania.
Mm,
Maybe
that's
they
right.
were Nephilim that had horns.
Who knows?
I mean, this guy's a Nephilim, so
Yeah.
I think I got him on
distant
the
family
team.
somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah. Speak their language.
yeah. Well, that's why you go along to call them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all right, so you guys are investigating the cave, and you found those footprints going to the cave.
We saw there were feathers
There
going
were feathers
into the
like,
cave.
it was like, going into the
the
cave,
chicken
yeah.
feathers. So something was taking the chickens out and carrying them up into that cave. But when we got there, the bottom of that cave floor was all mud,
Mhm.
thick mud,
Figured we'd find some tracks on that.
zero tracks.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
It was like it was basically almost like that clay mud. It gets stuck to your boots. And
Yeah,
you got to
dude.
scrape it off with the rock and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah,
We were
So,
losing our
wow.
shoes in the mud basically when we were walking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so whatever was going in there, okay, this is my assessment, right? I was like, all right, you see, it's got to be something that's climbing the walls, something that is disappearing into some kind of portal.
Mhm.
Okay, it's because it did fit. I know this may sound crazy to a lot of people. To me, it doesn't. Okay, but as soon as you walk into that mouth of the cave, it's a whole other realm, literally.
I believe it.
yeah,
I believe it.
yeah. And then we went in pretty far. The only reason why we stopped because we ran out of rope.
Okay.
No joke. Yeah,
Bring
It
your
was
own rope.
creepy.
yeah.
Yeah.
We brought about 300 foot of rope.
Yeah. 3 to 500 feet.
Yeah.
You just trail it behind you so you know which way you came from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's one of those like you would take a right, left.
yeah. So what we did
different
was
entrances that dead end and
Yeah.
then you just keep going.
So I brought like, we've been doing this for a while. I always bring like 20 plus cam lights. So I drop them about every 20 feet, right?
Hmm.
That way, if you need to cut out, you just keep, you keep going where the light is, right? So, and then we hit this certain part at the edge of the cave to where me and Brian roped off. Me and Brian went down. T was over there holding the rope.
you guys had to rappel down.
We actually had to rappel down.
Yeah.
And then we climbed up this face, and then it dropped down 100 feet. Like I dropped a cam light down. Brian dropped a cam light down there. We couldn't see it, so it opens up even more. But the crazy part is when we were going in there were entrances of the cave that were concreted off.
Yeah, they concreted them
Mhm.
off. Yep.
Yeah.
Why didn't they concrete the one off that you went in? That's the question.
Well, there was actually a college or some type of Tennessee Cave Society
Mhm.
that had put some sort of piping down that went in from the entrance to the cave deep into the cave, and I'm not exactly sure why that was all there, but it was some kind of drainage, I'm assuming, and that may explain kind of why those holes were concreted over.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, here's the thing. The concreted over part, what if whoever did the concreting knows what's in there
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And in order to contain the direction it moves, they walled off the ones, the entrances they don't want it to go out and in, so they can focus in on where it would become.
Funnel it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See?
They're not trying to keep us out. They're trying to keep something in. And that was actually the lore behind that whole cave, is that skinwalkers were banished by the shaman.
Yep.
By the Native American shaman to seal them inside that cave. Now, there's no rebar on the front of that cave. There's no kind of stone that's like blocking the entrances. It's wide open. So it's like a spiritual banishment into there. There's something spiritual right there, I guess. But they did some physical blocking inside.
Are we sure that this cave that we're talking about here with the banishment and all that, are we sure this is the cave to that legend?
It's the cave.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
What was a trip though? Going back to that though, to me, what kind of kicked it off was when she said she put that offering down at the beginning of that cave, at the entrance of that cave when she moved there. So she went there. Hey, yada yada. I'm here to, I'm not going to take over your land. I'm just here to live here, be peaceful. So here's an offering. And that's when everything started ramping up.
Well, they took those chickens as an offering.
Right.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't want this petty tobacco.
Does she know? Does she know the story behind it? Is that why she did that?
No. She just does that basically. It's almost like us moving to our house and praying over it, right? So certain people do certain ways on how they do things, right? So she was going there to say, whoever's listening, I'm here to
at the entrance of the cave. What would make her think that there's anything to talk to at the entrance of the cave?
I have no idea.
To make peace. Well, she inherently just felt something. It was her gut.
Okay, there we go.
And there were also voices that she was hearing coming out of that cave. It was just a very ominous feeling. She didn't like the feeling she got when she went up to the cave or in it. She said that it took all she had just to get up the nerve to even step a couple of feet inside that cave by herself. I do not recommend going in that cave alone to anybody. Yeah. And y'all either, right? It was creepy. Very creepy.
Yeah.
So that's the extent of the cave? No.
Of that one. And then was on the other side of the land, there was another one she told us about.
So on the same property, there's two caves?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 500 acres, so there's a lot of land, a lot of property.
Probably more caves.
Yeah.
Probably.
So she told us about another one. So the next day, we went to go check out this other spot she told us about. So we went there, and then this one, we actually had to tie off to a tree, and we had to rappel down 200 feet. So I'm like, oh crap, man! If something comes at us, man, all we got is our pistols, and like you better move.
There's no quick way in or out.
Yeah,
no.
So anyway, so we get there, drop some can lights down, everybody rappels down, and I'm worried about someone or something cutting that rope, and we're totally screwed. We're screwed,
dude. There's no way out. If the rope was gone, there's no way out.
Yeah. So all of us rappel down. So we start going through there. I'm taking point. T and Brian are behind me. Z and O Juice are taking the rear part, and they're just looking behind them, and we're just following, just going through these areas, and we found tracks, almost look like bear tracks or cougar tracks, right? Because it was rocky, and then it goes into that clay mud again. Okay, and then we come up to like almost like a dead end. We're like, okay, let's just turn around because it keeps kind of wise off.
What did like the? It was like you could walk. It was like a narrow aisleway. Because that's from what I remember. There's a narrow aisleway. There was like water.
Yeah.
And then you were like, wonder how deep. Because like, there's nothing with caves. If you see water, you don't know how deep it is.
You don't. Yeah.
And I remember somebody was like, let's take a step or something, or somebody stepped
I was in front of. I was the one that did that.
Or like, let's test how deep it is, and it's like, you can't touch the bottom.
Yeah, because I was like, I found a long stick around there. I was like, let me see that real quick. So I braced myself on each side with my foot hanging, and I just like, dude, I'm having Brian like hold me, hold my war belt. That way I don't fall in. So kept going. I just dropped it and it just went down, down, down. So I dropped a cam light and it went down, down, down. I'm like, scrap that. We're not going this way.
Yeah, because if you trip and fall, it's like 15 feet of water.
Yeah, if that.
Who knows?
Who knows how deep it goes? So then
but it's clear because you.
Oh, it's beautiful. It was clear, dude.
Clear.
Yeah, almost made you want to kind of let me try that. No,
a little stale.
Yeah. So then after that, we actually backtracked, went to this other part of the cave, and this is where I thought I saw a crawler, a shadow figure coming out, because I started reading up on Skinwalkers when Jessica was telling me all this intel and stuff she was getting from a couple buddies. So one of the things I was learning was don't whistle because it draws Skinwalkers. So I'm taking point. So I whistled. So I was taking point. We're coming around this curve, and I see something poke its head out like that.
For
But it was a shadow. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I told the guys, hold up. Pulled my pistol out with the light, looking. I'm like, and then T's like, F that. I saw that. So I'm trying to get it out. But I was like, yeah, okay, we're stopping right here. We're going back. So, yeah. So if I start doing pop shots, I'm afraid rocks might start falling.
Heck yeah, you're in a cave. Like that's the one thing with caves is
that's like the last
like this.
Yeah, it's like the last resort.
Yeah.
So
you create those vibrations and all of a sudden the whole thing's comes caving in, especially those old mines, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. When we got to that point where you guys had to rappel in, where we ran out of rope, wasn't it like that's where there's like another hole where you couldn't go any further? That's where it said the devil is here.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The devil is here.
Yeah, the
And
devil
like
is here in that cave.
with the crawler?
And spray paint. No, in the cave before. The first cave.
The
behind the
Skinwalker
house.
cave.
Yeah,
Behind the
behind
house.
The devil's
the house.
here?
Yeah.
In spray paint?
The
Yeah.
devil is here.
Holy crap.
After
forgot
the
about that,
entrance, they like go, and you guys didn't go.
So
in there.
people like that was like, yo, that's your warning. Like we're just gonna devil's here, don't come in.
And then to combo off that later that night, if you want to go into that, we're using, I don't know the name of that machine you were using.
The REM pod. We had a REM pod. We had an SLS camera. We had recorders out, and that's when we picked up the figure. We were getting voices too, a lot of voices. See, Farrah and I stayed back at the front of the cave while the guys went deeper in because first of all, I'm not a big cave fan, but second of all, I knew, there was just a lot of us. And if something were to charge at us from the other end,
it just
all 10 of us were
traffic
not
jam.
going to get out of there.
Traffic jam.
Okay? With
Who
all
we
of
sacrificing?
the mud. Exactly. So I was in
Somebody's
the back.
gone.
I was like, yeah, we're going to. So we stayed in the front and Farrah and I did some like kind of, she's more paranormal based, and so she wanted to do some paranormal experiments kind of and see if some voices came through and get the dowsing rods out and stuff to see if she could communicate. And we did. We ended up doing that. We did have, she had a device on her phone where like voices were coming through. They were talking about being like people who had lived there before and that had passed away and their souls were kind of like living there, like normal everyday humans. Okay. With families that went way back probably to the 1800s or whenever. I don't know. Doing this paranormal stuff for so long, I don't know what's what anymore. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what you're talking to. It could have been anything.
Yeah. And there's a lot of deceit in that too.
A
where
lot.
They'll say I'm one thing, but
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's actually how familiar spirits work. They just, lie. But what was the trip though, going off of what you're saying about the people and stuff like that? Me and Brian went in the first cave, we went off deeper into this other part. We had to squeeze through, like literally squeeze through. And we kept going and I'm like, God, oh God, please let us get back. So there was no way to turn around. We literally had to keep going till we find a spot to turn around and come back. Well, as we were doing that, we found a bunch of basically almost like fire pits. People camping or something like that. Like
in the cave?
Old petrified wood that was stacked up, almost looked like a burning pit right there. You look up, it's just a little hole where the vent's out, it was deep in there, man.
And that's after you had to squeeze in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wasn't there a coffin somewhere? Like somebody had drawn a coffin?
Oh.
that was towards the entrance and like to the left. There's like another cavern that went left where didn't it look like a burial? It looked like stacked rocks for a burial, which none of us touched. Nobody touched it.
It's not like the
Don't
Bell
take a
Witch
rock,
Cave.
man.
Yeah, you don't move anything.
Yeah.
But somebody, I remember either Zook or you, while crawling, because I remember Zook went too. He's slender and he was able to fit in certain places where I could not.
Because you're a Nephilim.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks. But I remember he said that he moved something. I don't know if he told everybody that. He like while crawling in there, he was like, "Oh, what is that?" You know how he's like, "Oh, wow,
ADD."
yeah." And so I remember him saying like he moved something, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And like I didn't know what to say. Cool. Then when you were doing the REM pod, it said something about moved something, and it
Moving
was
a rock.
And I was like, I instantly was like, Zook, did you tell anybody that? He was like, no, man, just you were like Andrew or something like that. And I was like, you moved something. And it was specifically, I don't remember what it said. Maybe it's on the recordings, but it said you moved whatever that was. He was like, I moved that inside that cave when I was crawling around.
Wow.
I was like, what?
Oops.
I know.
It's like, Zook, go put it back.
Was there any repercussions for that? Did he ever say that he had issues after that?
No, as
investigation?
far as that, like especially with the guys on my team, we're all Christian and stuff like that. So we pray before we go, and then we all pray after. You know, we get anointed and all pray over each other and stuff like that. That way, nothing follows us home.
Very Pentecostal of you.
Yeah.
I dig it, by the way. Wow, wild stuff, man. Like that's crazy. I would love to see this cave one day. Do you still talk to her?
Yeah, we still talk. She moved. She moved like a few months after that, right?
Yeah.
So she doesn't own the property anymore?
No.
No, but she can get a hold of the person who does.
Does the person who does know what's going on the property?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're good with it?
I mean, good. What do you mean by good?
Like good us going?
Yeah, well, good with you going, but also like good with the activity. Like they don't have a problem with it, or they haven't had experiences, I guess. Or
I don't think they live on the property, so they probably don't have to worry about it.
they don't live on it.
I don't, if I'm not mistaken, it's 500 acres, or they live like way.
And they don't go
500 acres
poking
would be a
around like
mile
we did.
that
Yeah,
way.
they don't go poking around. They just stay in their house.
If I'm not mistaken,
we were
they're
poking around.
elderly.
Oh, I want to
Yeah.
talk to these people.
Yeah. So
I want to talk to Farrah too. Ooh, get Farrah and these people, the new owners on the show together.
I'll hit her.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
I don't know. You know, another strange thing was that there was a lot of toys and like little remnants of children's stuff. But of course,
In
there
the
could have been,
cave?
yeah, in the cave entrance. I remember seeing like little things that kids would have owned. But of course, there could have been kids that lived there. You know,
yeah, prior.
and I'm
Who
sure.
knows?
And another thing to note was that it was like 125 degrees out there. That
Outside.
when we'd go
Oh,
outside,
thank
but then you
God.
go in
Well,
the
yeah, 'cause
cave.
caves have their own ecosystem.
Yeah, it was like a refrigerator down there. So
Oh, dude, that's
was
where we
great.
hung out most of the time. Was inside the caves.
Yeah.
It was so hot.
What'd you look at? Oh, what's up, William? We got a party crasher here.
hey,
Good, bud.
Sorry, y'all.
The permapasture consultant in the house. How are you, man?
What's up, y'all?
How you doing?
Good.
Hey,
What's up, man? I'm messing everything.
Oh, yeah, you're messing
What's
everything up. That's all right. That's wild, though. All right, so man, I lost track of my thoughts here.
Oh, dog,
So
man.
we're talking about the stuff in the cave entrance
with
and
the kids stuff and
So, I mean,
refrigeration.
this cave is wild, and I totally want to. I mean, it's not far from me. Like, I mean, it's what, 2 hours away. If that,
Oh yeah,
it's not that bad.
we had to go back.
It's worth
Part
going
two.
to. I'd come back for that.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm game.
And it's like I'm looking
Preferably
at the
not when it's
map.
125 degrees outside.
What's crazy is that like
I know, right?
the Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky is just north and east of that, and the cave. Like what people have to understand when we're talking about this cave is that Tennessee is, of all the states in the union, has the most caves.
Yeah.
And then Kentucky has the second most caves. And I don't think it's an accident that Tennessee and Kentucky have so much activity when it comes to this stuff, because these things do live underground. That's why
100%.
I look. And also like the portals are, they jump through the portals in the caves, and that's how they.
Oh yeah,
So,
they travel
yeah.
through the portals.
If
for
I'm not
sure.
mistaken, didn't Farrah say that she would wake up in the middle of the night hearing a train?
Underneath their
Yes.
house vibrating.
Really?
Yeah.
She did. Well,
So you know all about that. It's one of the things that they built under the
It's,
right?
it's probably the train
Yeah.
highway that
Yeah,
just right
it is
there.
just extending the airport.
Yeah.
Wow. So the Mountain City, what do you think that was? Bigfoot?
Yeah.
So you got Bigfoot, Mountain City. We just did the Skinwalker Cave. You got a Dogman story for me to get this trifecta going?
The trifecta.
we just got back from a dogman hunt in Alabama.
I was unable to go.
How was that?
We missed you. Yeah.
Did you kill it?
No.
Oh,
We're
damn.
not. Our aim is not to kill.
Oh
right?
man,
Oh,
mine
yeah.
is.
Mine is.
Mine is.
Remember we talked about body bag stuff like that?
Oh my god! I almost had a heart attack when we were talking about that. I was like, oh my god, should we be talking about that? We're gonna get censored and banned and all sorts of stuff.
Oh well.
But
But not if you.
yeah. Well, it was all for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, she had to cut me
I was
off.
like, are
I was
you-
like going
are you
over
se-
my
I was like,
plan of what we're gonna do. I was like, what? All right, we'll talk about it later.
Let's talk about it in private. It's called OPSEC.
Yeah, OPSEC was out the
OPSEC.
door on that.
So how'd this trip go? Was there any activity in it?
Yeah, a little bit, man. There was. The hike sucked.
We
Usually
hiked
do.
in. We actually hiked
Yeah,
in.
we
We
actually
were
rucked in.
backpack camping, and so I got to tell them about the dinosaur too.
Good.
Okay, or not the dinosaur, the dragon. The dragon. All right, so we're in the deep woods of Alabama. We're not giving the location away, right? It's undisclosed location. Let's just say it's on some federal land.
Okay.
And so we all meet up, and we're getting all our stuff unpacked out of the vehicles, and we're getting ready to go hiking. And this gentleman comes hiking out of the woods, and he's carrying this big stone. And I hear him talking to the guys, and he's like, "Hey, y'all know anything about dragons?" And the guys are kind of like, "Yeah, we know about dragons," but they were not so interested. But I was like, "Hey, I know about dragons," because I knew where he was going with it. And he said, "Well, hey, this is a dragon's wing." And I was like, "Oh, really?" She was like, "Well, you've heard about petrified dragons before, right?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And I said something about Mud Fossil University, and he said, "Yeah, I watched Mud Fossil University." He goes, "Well, I've been coming out here for a while." He said, "And right on this trail over here, if you hike down so far, there's a dragon, and you're going to hike right over its wing." And I was like, "Oh, no way. No way. There's actually a petrified dragon out here." He said, "Yeah, he actually had a brush in his hand. I have a picture of of him holding this thing, and he's got a brush in his hand where he's been going out there and brushing off the dragon."
Really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it was a trip though. Was that when we walked?
You didn't hear about this, did you, T?
Oh yeah, my bad, man. So when we were walking in, I didn't see it, but when we were walking out, that's like, oh god, there's a tail.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, there's the spot.
So you can really see it, huh?
How big? How big
Wow.
is
To
this?
me, it was about what was like 50 feet.
I'd ride it.
Dude, it's
I'd ride on
Game
his
of
back.
Thrones.
That's kind of large to
Exactly.
forget, bro. Why didn't you tell your boy?
Cause I was worried about the heat. Like I was telling him
He
about the
exhausted.
graveyard we went
Wow.
in. We actually ran into abandoned graveyard.
Wow. Wow. How old is it? Could you tell how old it was as far as like the tombstones?
There was Revolutionary War soldiers
Yeah,
buried there.
really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
It's probably older than that, though.
How deep in the trail do you guys think you were there?
It was not deep at all. It was like right when you go in.
Okay.
Wow. So, all right. You guys discovered a dragon. Want
We
to check that off
discovered
the
a
book?
dragon.
Yeah, I want to discover
In
that with you
Alabama,
sometime.
the Alabama dragon.
Bama dragon. Yeah.
He's got,
Bama
he's got a
dragon.
dip in its mouth.
Operation Bama Dog turned into Operation Bama Dragon.
Yeah.
I'm a dragon.
Yeah.
So, you guys go down there hunting the dog, man. What turned up with that?
Okay, so when we went there, one of the operators, Brian, and his dad, they actually just went out there just camping, and they had a crazy experience out there. So he was like, "Dude," he's telling me about it. I'm like, "Hey, let's get the guys. Let's go. Let's go back and check it out." He's like, "Okay." So a lot of the guys couldn't go because of scheduling issues. So I told Jessica too. I was like, "Hey, let's go." So it was just me, you, BX, Brian, and his dad. And so we got there. We hiked in. God, how many?
It was a long way, and it was 125
It was like
degrees
about
again.
5-6 miles, something like that. Hiked in, and we were just done. So he's like, "All right, we got to the spot." I'm like, "Dude, you're killing us." So
It was uphills both ways.
yeah, uphills both ways, no shoes. No.
In the heat, not
Yeah.
the snow this time.
So we got there and we set up camp and stuff, and like exactly in the spot of where he had his encounter at. So we just set up camp, just chilling out. Nothing was going on. And he's like, "Okay, when it starts to get dark, that's when things come out." I was like, "Yeah, of course." So it was, I think you were laying on your
My hammock.
On
We
your
were hammock camping.
Yeah, we're cryptid burritos basically. So she was in her hammock, and we were hearing something pacing, and this leads to the little juvenile footprint we found. So we're hearing something pacing, kind of speed walking, but stopping. Where the freak is it at, man? We can't see it. So we're just listening, waiting. I got the rifles out. I'm chilling. My buddy BX is behind me, and I hear it. So I just take off running, pistol out, running, and not realizing who's got my 6. They all back there. I was like, hey. So I was trying to flush it out to go that way. That way Brian and his dad can have a bead on it, right? We hear it running. All of a sudden it just stops. Where the heck did it go? I don't know. So I walk back, and they're over there with the rifles. They're like, "Dude, where's it at? We heard it running towards us. Where's it at?" I don't know.
Oh, I heard the running.
Yeah.
Definitely heard the running.
Jessica's like, "What
I'll
was
show
that?"
What just happened? Well, I thought that I heard that y'all were chasing something, but it almost sounded like there was like somebody fell, or like somebody did like a screeching halt or something. I just heard like a lot of commotion.
Yeah.
I thought there was something bad going on.
Well,
Okay. I was
anyways.
missing out on the action laying in my hammock. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then that happened. And then later on at night, she was at the wood line edge, just kind of in the woods looking, and so was I. And we're just kind of listening, nothing much. And then everybody kind of camped out, went to sleep. So I was up doing fire watch, and so was BX. And then Brian got up to make some coffee. This was about 2 a.m. And then we're in the middle of this park, mind you, deep in this park, right? Next thing I know, I hear this jet engine all three of us do hear this jet engine far away. And it's getting closer and closer and closer until it's right on us. And it's so loud. We're having to yell at each other and close our ears. Like, what the frick is that? Have our flashlights up, looking around. It does that for 15 seconds loud. It just cuts off.
Is this nighttime?
Nighttime.
Yes.
It just cuts off. And I'm looking at my watch. Do I got missing time? What's going on? No? Okay, that was weird. And BX was like, dude, what the frick was that? I don't know. Brian's like, drinking his coffee, goes back on his stomach.
Jeez, dude. Let me know when it's time to cook breakfast.
Yeah. So, and then, she was asleep, and then his dad was asleep, and he got up, and we're like, did you guys hear anything? They're like, nope. We're like, okay, that was meant for us, I guess. I don't know.
Who didn't hear?
She didn't
I
hear.
was sleeping.
And then,
at that point.
and then Brian's dad didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And where are they located compared to you?
We're
Literally.
we're like
So basically,
arm's
I'm right here.
distance.
Jessica's right there.
So like,
Okay.
Like
and
10
his dad was
Wow.
right here.
Yeah,
and they didn't hear it.
They didn't hear a single thing.
You heard it.
Yeah.
And
I
who
heard
else
it.
heard it?
BX and Brian. They heard
BX
it.
and Brian.
It was, we were holding our ears like, what is that, dude?
And you guys are yelling to each other because you can't hear.
Yeah. What is that?
They don't hear a thing.
No.
Dude.
And then it goes for 15 seconds and it cuts off. And we're like,
Okay. That's wild. That reminds me of the Meadow
Mhm.
because of how when they walked into the cube, the environment changed.
It did.
That is very interesting. I don't know what to make of that. I'm not saying
I
that
don't either.
like a portal came upon you, but there's definitely a shift between your understanding of what was going on around you and theirs. Like there was this
It's like a bubble or something. Like you're hitting something that.
yeah. Cause when it was going on, I was looking at the vegetation, see if it was wind. Nothing.
your state
Pulled
of
our-
existence was
Yeah.
different than hers at that time.
I
Well,
guess.
That's
yeah.
wild.
But you know what else? Okay, so I've had incidences like this happen before, like in the Meadow. I was at home the exact same time, exact same night, exact same everything of that when the portal opened. I had gone home right before that happened, so I wasn't in the portal when it happened. I was at home. And I had just gotten home from being in the woods, so my son was 3 years old at the time. He was happy to see me. I was in the kitchen making dinner. His dad was with him I was in the living room on the elliptical machine. It's real fancy and everything, I know. But my son was on the elliptical and his dad was videoing him on the cell phone. And I got called into the living room. He said, hey, you need to come see this. His dad was holding up his cell phone, videoing my kid on the elliptical. And I see these lights flying around the room. But I think it's a moth. That's like my first thought is like, oh, those are bugs, And I say that on the video. You can hear me say it. And my son goes, Mom, ball, Mom, ball. And I'm looking and there's these lights, these balls of light, two of them, all around my son's head. His dad is filming them. I can see them with my eyes. My son can see them with his eyes, but his dad could not see them at all, except for through the screen on his phone. Okay, so, and eventually the lights shot towards his phone and it cut his phone off. Completely powered it down.
Wow.
Now that showed me, and that was the exact same time the portal was happening in the Meadow. Okay. Ooh, and so somebody asked me, I forgot who said this. They said, what if those orbs were Tim and Bob? They had gone into the portal.
That was me, I think. When I
Was
talked
that
to
you?
Yeah.
That was you. That's right. Okay. And I had never thought about that before because it was almost the exact same moment.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So what you just referred to was a conversation, episode 670, Weaponized Portals. You were on with me. And then while we're at it, episode 617, the Meadow Project was with Trey. He came on and talked about the Meadow Project itself. Both are heater episodes. I recommend, if you haven't listened to it yet, go ahead and check it out, people. That the idea that realm shifting. Let me get off my Instagram here so people don't see that. But the idea of realms shifting and people around you not having the same experience it's something to worth exploring mentally moving forward with investigations that all of us do, because I'm starting to think that happens more than we've ever understood and expected. It's just we are now coming around to the idea of having the language to convey. And so before it was like something really bizarre happened. We're not going to talk about it because we don't even know how to describe it. And now we got these crazy podcasters talking about portals and jumping through portals and fighting Dogman with a toothpick. And they're just like, okay, these guys are crazy. We can talk about that. And so they you know, like, I think things are changing and it allows these things to be talked about more. And I think during these investigations, being aware of the realm shifting, because like, I think we're all probably, I'm not, I think you are too, not sure about you, but I think we're all in the same level of these things probably are coming in and out of some kind of dimension.
Yeah, interdimensional.
Not that they're always existing in other dimensions, but I definitely think that they have these abilities. And if that's the case and you're hunting these things, you might as well consider yourself a portal hunter as well.
Yeah.
You know? And
for sure.
All right. Put that on my resume.
There you go.
You know, that's the portal in the meadow is not the only portal that my teams experience. That's the only one that's been talked about.
Really?
And actually I'm on 4 different teams with Cryptid Warfare. I'm on 4 different research teams. And my first research team, Enigma Research Group, we mainly are kind of based out of North Georgia. And there was an incident one weekend where one of the same guys, Tim, that went into the portal in the meadow, he experienced a portal in North Georgia too. Now, it's interesting because Tim was a physicist and had a very interesting background. I'm not going to get into it. I don't know a whole lot about his background. Okay. But anyways, it made me wonder, you know, was he targeted? Was he targeted? But that's just my thought on that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this back like maybe 45 minutes to an hour. In the beginning of this conversation, you said that you know of people who are meant for higher. They do this. This is what they do, right? And we talked about agency type stuff as well. Is there anything that we can put on the table for discussion point on that, or is it really kind of low key?
Maybe not the ones that are in the,
Sorry, shaking his head.
agency stuff. I'm sure there's private. There's like more. There's probably some equally private
mercenary
stuff,
like that, yeah.
which
Yeah.
I don't know any of them. So,
Well, I mean, I can touch on it a little bit because I am not that person, so I don't know. I can only tell you what I've been told. What this person told me first.
Okay.
Yeah, I was told firsthand by someone who says, and I believe him. He's been contracted to do critter control, is what I call it, critter control, and he's even told me the different types of weapons they use, and then as soon as they take the body of this dogman. I mean, if you go back and I don't know.
They got the chemical makeup of jumping in and out of portals.
Well, they do. Well, they say that there could be a cryptid or dogman breeding program in the United States. And they are used as assets. And I talk about this pretty often over on my channel. We talk about government assets. You know, the government, and I hate saying government because I don't think it's just like our government. I think it's like agencies of some kind that are utilizing cryptids.
Agencies,
They're using cryptids
do their work.
for kidnapping, for assassinations, for you name it. And so I was told by a good friend of mine who came on my show this past week. He said he's got some insider information. He said, "Don't you ever talk about killing a dogman." He said because they'll come and get you. Because the majority of them that are out there right now, a lot of them, I'm not going to say majority, I'm going to say at least half, I think more, are government assets. They're not natural, organic dogmen that came from the earth or wherever they come from.
So, 2 things. All right. One, we had Nathan Reynolds on the show not too long ago, and he talks about this. He comes from an elite family, and he's basically blowing the whistle on his own family. He sat in that chair. He's coming back in on Monday for another round.
That's a good one.
And,
that's a fantastic episode.
And he talks about these farms where they're growing these giant wolves, and it's wild. But so yes, but also there's a guy that will be on show eventually. He's a trucker and he's all over the place. Last time he was in Knoxville, we had a snowstorm. We couldn't get to the studio. I was so angry because it's the guy from the conference.
I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you told me about that guy.
Yes. There's guy Joe. people know his story now. He's been on several podcasts, but he sat down at the conference and I was there when he first told this story.
You and I were right there sitting next to each other.
He sat down with us and he tells us a story. And since then he's been on all these other shows. And I told Joe, I was like, listen, man, since you've been on all these shows, when I have you on my show, it has to be in person. And I want to dig on this.
Raw.
You know what I mean? Like we're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm running out of Zoom time on my subscription.
No.
Like we're going to go hard on this eye to eye. But long story short, he was in Michigan fixing his brake lights or his airline on his trailer one night. He's on an incline where he stopped. He fixes the airline, gets back in, starts going up the hill, full load. I think he said it was like 80,000 pounds. So you're only going like 25 miles an hour, if that, going up the hill, trying to get some gears going. He looks in his mirror, as a good trucker would do, and he sees this thing running up on the passenger side of his vehicle. He said it was a giant upright running dog that was so tall it had to duck in underneath to look in the window at him when it came up next to the cab. As a former trucker, I can tell you he was more than likely when he was driving, his head was probably sitting at about 9 feet in the air while he was driving. And this thing had to duck down to look at him. So this thing was probably about 10 to 12 feet tall. It ducks down to look in the window. I don't remember. Do you remember what kind of gun it was?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a 44 Magnum.
44 Magnum. He pulls it out, blows its face off.
Hits it right in the eye socket.
Right in the eye socket. He
drops it
and turns the truck around because he planned on going down and running the thing over. And there was already a car there pulled over. He pulls over. He slows down. He says, "You all right?" And they said, "Yeah, there was a giant bear here, and another one came and drug it off."
Yeah.
And he's like, "That ain't no bear." And like looking back at it and with what you just said, I wouldn't be surprised if those people, that was their asset, and they were there to figure out what was going on with their asset and recover it. I don't know.
They're chipped. They're chipped. I've been told they're chipped
For sure.
Potentially some of them are collared, but they're closely monitored. There's not one moment where somebody does not know where all of them are. Is what I've been
also,
told.
too, I heard too, like some of them wear vests
Mhm.
to keep them in control. If they get out of line, they zap.
Like a shock collar, but
Yeah.
it's a vest.
Oh my gosh. Can
Yeah.
you imagine the first time you ever see a dog, man? It's wearing a freaking vest.
A chest rig, be like,
Yeah.
buddy, where'd you get
I'm
that?
like, yo, this is the jackpot. This ain't no just, I stumbled across a cryptid. I stumbled across a weapon, man. We're going to kill it.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I heard you get into big trouble. I'm just saying.
T-section.
Take
We're
it.
kidding.
I'll take the chances. I'm on record already. They already know I'm out there to kill the
Yeah,
freaking
so
thing.
you're definitely on a watch list for sure. Probably all of us.
This is a fantastic conversation. Yeah.
You just want a claw for a necklace, don't you?
I know. Listen, I don't even know what I'm going to do with it once I kill it. I'm just like, yo, let's just see if it bleeds. You know, like, this was a fantastic conversation, guys. Wow. Some fun stuff.
Yeah, we got to go on a hunt together, man.
I would love to.
Back to the
I
cave.
would love to.
Back
I
to
would
the
love to. Before we get out of here, I want everybody to sound off where you're from and give people where they can follow you at. I want you guys to have as much exposure as possible. Let's start with you, T.
My name is T. I'm part of the Cryptid Warfare Operations. I don't have any social media because that's all Andrew. And here in Tennessee, hanging out with Tony Merck, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm Jessica Jones. I am also known as the Cryptid Huntress. I'm part of Cryptid Warfare as well. I can be found on my website, thecryptidhuntress.com, but please go over to my YouTube channel, subscribe. It's the Cryptid Huntress. You can find me at the Cryptid Huntress everywhere on Twitter or X. I'm Huntress Jessica. And thanks for having us over here today, Tony. This has been fun.
I'm glad you came.
Right on, man. Hey, guys, my name is Drewski. You can find me over at Instagram, Facebook, all that underneath the Cryptid Warfare podcast. And you can also hit me up on Gmail, cryptidwarfare@gmail.com. You can go online, cryptidwarfare.com. Yeah, just hit us up, man. We're there. Help you guys out.
Awesome. And William, get your butt over here and plug yourself real quick.
Come here, Will.
I'm William from the Permaculture Consultant. If you need help with your farm or homestead, then hit me up at thepermacultureconsultant@gmail.com or YouTube. Same name. Thanks, man.
Wonderful. This is a fantastic, what?
One thing, one of the guys, okay, I'm going to give a shout out to Larry Sharp. You
What's
told me to
up,
give him a shout
Larry?
out, Larry? All right, that was it. That's all I got.
The politician?
Negative.
No, Larry.
Oh man, well I appreciate you guys coming in and stuff, and I hope everybody enjoyed this episode because I certainly did. If you did enjoy the show, please share the show. I don't care where or how you share the show, just share the show. That's the best thing you can do to help the show grow. Share the show. And just remember, friends, the elites don't want you to know this, but you could just convert to Christianity and live forever. Talk to you later. Bye.
Amen.
Bye.
I'm just feeling probably like you. I'm just drifting, probably right beside you. All the abyss, control from afar. What did we miss? Now we're left with the scars.
We love the lows but hate the highs.
Is the other side of the sun.
With all this glow, it's hard to hide.
It's bright.
We love the lows but hate the highs.
Is the other side of the sun.
With all this dark, it's hard to find.
It's bright.
Everybody wanna preach a happy median. I see they dopamine fix come from media. Now your spirit getting booked on Expedia. Soul searching like Long Island Medium. I should've been taught. Sleepwalk through life, but being woke is an insult. They should've been caught. They want us flooded in fear by drowning us on the asphalt. We love the lows but hate the highs.
Is the other side of the sun.
With all this glow, it's hard to hide.
It's bright.
We love the lows but hate the highs.
Is the other side of the sun.
With all this dark, it's hard to find.
It's bright. Masking from elites, got us attaching what is free. Now we're rationing our needs for our soul.
Yeah, we're not fasting from belief. The smell of Sharpies right the streets, looting liabilities like it's gold.
Atomic number 79, Gucci, Prada, Jordan High. Sniff that line, it's on the house till you're sold.
The ones that keep us locked for the felony time, or the ones that fund the dollars for the BLM sign. Y'all ain't really doing what y'all supposed to. Y'all just follow suit like the rest do. Oh, yeah. We love the lows but hate the highs.
Is the other side of the sun.
With all this glow, it's hard to hide.
It's bright.
We love the lows but hate the